Hey guys, it's Maria Park, and welcome to the Approach the Nerd. And we're doing our spoiler review for Batwoman Season 2, Episode 15. I think it's called Armed and Dangerous. So, this episode, actually, a lot of things happened, and they're kind of moving the plot along. And I just saw the preview or promo for next week, and I'm pretty excited about that too. But we'll talk about that in a second. But basically, we're still everyone's rearing over the fact that Luke got shot by Agent Tavanoff. I'm going to call Agent Tavanoff Agent Teabag because that's pretty much what he is. So Agent Teabag shot Luke because Luke was reaching in his jacket to pull out his phone. And he called gun and then shot him. And throughout the episode, basically, he was trying to frame Luke Fox as the person who was involved in this other robbery, and the gun that he pulled apparently was linked to it. He just got released from jail, which is true. They were falsely or unjustly basically arrested in the previous episode. So he was in jail. But he was trying to stop the other guy. I think his name was Everett. I wasn't paying attention. He was a minor character. But the car thief that was in the jail with them when it was him, Ryan, and Sophie, and the same guy that was like, we got to fight the man and blah, 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 was basically the one who said that Luke was trying to jack the car. And, of course, Agent Teabag shot Luke. So Luke is in critical condition. He was coding when they got him to the hospital. So Ryan is basically mad, as she also feels guilty in this episode because she feels like had she not called him privileged that he would have never taken it to that level. So she blames herself. And yeah, it's everybody was in their feelings in this episode. Now, while we're waiting on Luke to see what happens to him, Mary comes up with the idea of using the desert rose because, of course, Ryan's plant is a desert rose plant, and they're basically growing it in the Batcave. So she's going to take some, basically synthesized to him to basically inject into him. But there are two crows guarding the door, so Mary can't get in. And what I loved about that is they got Evan Blake, aka Wolf Spider from earlier this season, to go in and inject Luke. And I thought that was awesome. So we got to see Wolf Spider again. So I was very excited about that in this episode. But yeah, it seemed to be like three different plots happening. There was, well, technically four. There was Luke having a conversation with Bruce Wayne in his subconscious while his dad is in the background at a window. And he can't approach Lucius Fox, his father, without making the choice to die. So if he goes and, basically walks up to his father, he has chosen no longer to live in the world. If he doesn't, then he's choosing to live. Now, the problem is Luke does in this episode choose to die. He says he doesn't want to live in this world anymore. It's too cruel, basically. He chooses to go be with his father. But because Mary basically had Evan inject him with the desert rose, he isn't going to die. His body is healing. And you can see at the end of the episode how disappointed he was when he woke up. And I thought that was the most real reaction because he really is a character. It kind of reminded me of the episode of Buffy when, she died and they brought her back in the musical episode. No, they brought her back and then they had like the whole musical episode where they all realized that she actually wanted to stay dead. Where she was beautiful. She wanted to pass on. So that was interesting to me that, he literally chose to leave the Bat team, and that's going to have some repercussions later. He's probably going to have some guilt over that. And he's probably going to have some anger over that because they made the choice for him and he didn't get to choose how he went out. So that's going to be interesting. I will say though, having Bruce Wayne say something along the lines of, because Luke says, "Are you dead too?" And Bruce is like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, are they insinuating that Bruce may be dead and that's why he hasn't come back? That's why he's never come back, even during Crisis or anything else in the Arrowverse. We've never seen Bruce Wayne at the pivotal moment where Gotham really needed him. That would be an interesting spin if he actually is dead. But who knows? I mean, I don't know where Bruce actually is, but it's a mess. Now, because of Agent Teabag, Jacob is going through it. And I'm going to say this about Jacob. Jacob Kane should be dead. Now, hear me out. The reason he should be dead is that man has been hit so many times in the head since season 1. His brain should have caved in. He is always getting bashed in the head or stabbed and kidnapped all of the effing time. And I'm like, at this point, I don't feel like Jacob Kane biologically has enough cells that are not damaged to be alive. I'm like, I don't know. I just think that was really interesting. I really feel like Jacob Kane is a miracle. He's like a Bebe's kid, because there's no reason why Jacob Kane should ever be alive, because they are always knocking him out. I mean, he literally should have permanent indentions and dents in his brain. He should have severe brain damage. I'm just throwing that out there. But anyway, Agent Teabag decides that because Jacob has been having issues anyway since, he's been addicted to snakebite, and, having Sophie come and give him the speech of, we started this organization to help the city, to help the people of Gotham. But you know what? It's not working. We're cutting corners. Evidence is showing up. We're playing the system. We are the bad guys, basically. And Jacob started coming around, and he asked Agent Teabag for his badge and his gun. And of course, Agent Teabag responds like he normally does, corruptly, by hitting him in the head, knocking him out. And his plan was to tie him up to a chair and inject him with snakebite, 3 doses that would kill him. I'm very glad that Batwoman showed up and beat the living hell out of this man, because I will say the actor for him is amazing, because I wanted to beat the hell out of him. I've been wanting to smack him around for a very long time. So he brought out an antagonistic vibe from me. He's so douchey. His facial expressions are like douchebag. And I feel bad, because this could be a very sweet guy in real life, and I suspend my disbelief, but now I'm always going to be looking at this actor and other projects that he potentially will be in and be like, you better not be an a-hole in this. But he really came across as a racist, pompous, arrogant son of a bee. And I was really glad that he got his downfall, and that him doing this, plus Sophie's appeal to Jacob, led to him disbanding the Crows. So the Crows are disbanded now. We no longer have the Crows. Like I said, there's 4 things going on in the story. So it is Jacob's journey to disbanding the Crows, Luke's journey to basically making the ultimate decision, life or death. Of course, you have Ryan's twofold adventure in this. One is she wants to get back at Agent Teabag, and she also wants to get the metadata from the body cam footage, because they doctored it. Of course, some of the lackeys that work for Agent Teabag doctored it, and they subbed out a gun for the phone that Luke was putting out. And that's what I was saying earlier. It was linked to a previous robbery or whatever. And so they wanted to get the actual metadata, but of course it's going to be deleted by 3 a.m. because this is what Sophie does. Sophie comes in and talks about the mainframe of the Crow. She did that with Ryan's file. She's doing it now with the body cam footage. She's like, we have a server, but it deletes at 3 a.m. And I'm like, why the hell would it delete at 3 a.m.? If this is a recent event, if it just happened that night or the previous day, why wouldn't you at least have a week? I mean, even surveillance cameras in mom and pop shops, they don't normally delete for a week, at least 7 days. Grocery stores keep their surveillance for 7 days. You mean tell me the Crows delete their metadata the same day, 3 a.m. the following morning? What if there's a dispute or discrepancy in the body cam footage? Shouldn't you just have a server that automatically backs up these files? I don't understand how Jacob Kane is a millionaire and does not have a server that works. I'm just putting it out there. It's just very strange to me, and I don't understand their system. So I don't know. The Crows are flawed, not only by their men, but by their technology. I'm just putting it in perspective there. But yeah, so Ryan had to go in and get the metadata, but at the same time, Sophie saw, because she's in the Batcave hacking into, she's hacking, and she saw that Jacob was being dragged off by Agent Teabag and his minions, and, Ryan chose to save Jacob over finding the metadata for Luke. But Jacob did the right thing, and he cleared Luke's name in a press conference right before he disbanded the Crows, and even said he would go on file and go on record in court and testify. So that's a thing. I guess we're going to see more of GCPD now. I feel like we're going to have to deal with the actual Gotham police. Maybe we'll see Barbara. Who knows? I mean, who knows? I remember I said there's 4 parts to this. The 4th part is Alice, excuse me. Alice kind of is going on this. So she's going on this emotional journey, and in more ways than 20, because number one, we have Ocean, who she's in love with, who she's starting to get her memories back of, who basically told her last week, Your sister don't love you, man. Nobody loves you. They treat you like crap. Leave your sister alone. Don't tell anybody that she's alive. Just let her be. And of course, Alice is like, no. I'm like, she's my twin. And even though she gets on my nerves and I have a problem and I'm upset that she put me back in a cage, I am going to save her. And if you don't understand that, if I can't have you and I can't have my sister, then how do you love me? And she pulled the whole love card on Ocean. So it was very Ocean and Alice centric in this episode in terms of her. And also, they are definitely trying to redeem Alice. And that's because she was looking through Enigma's files. And of course, Enigma got killed by Ocean last week. And I do love when an Ocean came back to take care of the body and Alice hands him the Riddler's cane. And she's like, oh yeah, Enigma was the Riddler's daughter. And I'm like, yeah, you might have effed up, dude. But but when, she came back, she was looking through the files and she saw one on Kate. She saw one on her dad. She saw one on Mary, and she looked at Mary's and freaked out. And then she went and warned Mary, and she didn't have to do that. And I thought that was interesting. So she does seem to have a weird soft spot for Mary. Because if you even look at it in the past, she made sure that, she gave the antidote to Mary's mother when she poisoned them. She gave the Desert Rose to Mary's mother, knowing that Mary's mother was going to save her. She hasn't tried to kill Mary. She saved Mary from, a few different villains, or even got Kate to go save Mary. So she's always helped Mary, even though she killed Mary's mother. And this little like awkward moment at the elevator where Mary's like, I may hate you, Alice, but everyone deserves love. And you see Alice looking at her and then the door closes. And I'm like, Alice literally could have killed Mary at any time. And she's never tried. She really hasn't tried to kill Mary. So she did warn her step sib. And I think that's another part of her redemption arc. And again, I don't know how I feel about this because Alice is very good as a villain. And I don't know if we're ever going to get rid of Alice, but I feel like the CW is trying to do something new because Kate Kane's original actress, Ruby Rose, is gone. So they're like, well, we need to have a reason to keep you around, Alice. Redemption, or at least make it so she's not as cuckoo as normal. I don't know where they're going with Alice. Maybe something's going to happen to Ocean that's going to drive her even crazier. I don't know. But all I do know is that right now it does seem like Alice is going down this trek of redemption. And we'll see where that takes us. Now, I know that I saw a preview for next week. So we do see that at the end of this episode, Alice, of course, lets herself into her dad's, SUV, whatever, and lets him know that Mary, not only is Kate alive, she's actually in Gotham and they need to get her back. And then you see the preview for next week and you actually see Kate Kane, now the new Kate Kane, new face. And you see Ryan ask, now, I don't know if this is next week or if this is just basically a trailer for the rest of the season, but Ryan says, wait, are you Kate Kane? And then, of course, Kate's like, well, get back to me. Can I get back to you on that? So we do see that. And we also see Diggle. So Diggle is going to be in Gotham. I don't know if he's going to be in episode 16, but more than likely he is. So we are getting Diggle, the first appearance of Diggle since Arrow. And again, this is supposed to be his quest after he refused the Green Lantern, ring, and the repercussions of that. So we'll see what happens with that. But I don't know, guys. Like I said, it's just all weird. But a lot came out of this. We do know from the news that Luke will be Batwing. And sometimes I really want him to be Blackwing because I think it'd be cool. I know that was Charles Bullock. I do know that that's who Blackwing was. And he worked with basically Grayson. He worked with Huntress, and I get it. And I think they were either Earth 3 or Earth 2. I can't remember what Earth they were on. So, and this is Prime Earth, so it wouldn't make sense. But it would be kind of cool because Blackwing basically is the continuation of Batman. So to have a Blackwing and a Batwoman would be really cool. But at the same time, I could see why they wouldn't, because it would take away from Ryan being the main titular character. But I just thought it would be cool. It'd be cool. But considering, just as long as we have Luke in what we normally see Luke in, as Batwing, I'm okay with that. So I know that we're going to have Batwing. I am cool with that. I'm really interested to see the struggle because Luke is definitely going to be a changed man after being shot and not only facing death, but choosing to die and being forcibly brought back is basically what happened. And that, like I said, it reminds me of Buffy. They did the same thing. She was dead. They brought her back. She was completely dead and they brought her back. And she didn't want to be back and he didn't want to be back. And so it's going to cause a ripple in the Bat team. And I am here for it. And then the last thing is they're still making these little moments between Ryan and Sophie. And I just feel like they're going to make them a couple. And I told you guys, I don't want her to be a bat chaser. Sophie, no. Give Sophie something to do besides chasing Batwomen. Come on. She has more to offer. And would somebody please go get Julia from Berlin? I mean, come on. Bring Julia home. Bring Alfred too. I don't know. Maybe Alfred knows where the hell Bruce is. Who knows? But good episode. Very, very good episode. A lot happened, and I'm not hating on it. Like I said, it was a very good one. I'm glad that Luke is still with us. But yeah, this is definitely going to be something that shapes Luke into the Batwing we know in the comics. Hopefully he'll be a lot more like the Crisis Luke, because quite frankly, I did like the Crisis on Infinite Earths Luke better than I do this one. Even though this one is sweet and nerdy, he just reminds me of Cisco and Felicity. He's got that CW nerdy role. So I don't know. I just need to I want to have that badass Luke, and I think we're gonna get it. So. All right. Let's see here. I'm quite unfamiliar with the character of Evan Blake. Yeah, Wolf Spider is a great character. He's motivated a little differently in the Arrowverse, and I don't think we ever knew what his sexuality is, and I think they did make him gay in this one, which is fine. But yeah, he has a different story in the comics that he does in this one, as in who he worked. He worked for a villain, and this one he doesn't seem to have that backstory. So, Evan Blake is a really cool character, and I actually like the actor they have, and I love the scene where Marion has the 2 coffees and was giving them to the 2 crows, and then Evan comes and he takes the coffee and says, "I got you a coffee," and Evan's like, "You didn't tell me Luke was cute." I'm like, I love that they actually utilize Wolf Spider, because they couldn't get into the room. It's the perfect candidate for that. So I really love that they got him. So yeah. The Desert Rose also gives me a lot of Lazarus Pit vibes. I feel like it is a floral version of the Lazarus Pit, but I mean, the Desert Rose is a real thing. It was in the comics, so it makes sense. I thought we were going to see Lucius this episode. We kind of saw like a figure outline. He kind of looked bald too. It's interesting. I'm so used to Morgan Freeman now. So it's like, that's not Morgan Freeman, but different universe. But yeah, it's interesting that was the ultimatum. If you go to Lucius, you've chosen death. So you've chosen death, Luke. Yes, he has. And unfortunately, Mary and Ryan were like, no, you didn't. They literally ex-need his idea. They're like, we have vetoed you. You are coming back to the living, whether you like it or not. Hi, Blue. How are you doing? Jacob is a zombie. Yes, he is. He might as well be. He might as well be. Dude, how many times has this man been hit over the head or stabbed in some way? He should be a pincushion. He should be dead. I don't get it. Haven't seen the episode yet. No way you can spoil it for me because you leave details out, thankfully. I do that on purpose. I don't want to be a recap girl. I did recap a tiny bit, but I don't want to be like, and in this scene, this happened, and in this scene, that happened. I'm like, no. I figure if you're in here, you've either seen it or you're just hanging out. So I'm trying to be respectful. Reminds me of the U.S. agent actor from Falcon and Winter Soldier. He was very despicable too. That means the actor did his job. True. He wasn't as much of an a-hole all around in the comics, though, which is interesting for a U.S. agent. Also, I wonder, since the crows are gone, are we going to see GCPD more now? Exactly. I think we are. We need to, because we have no major GCPD characters. I want to see Renee Montoya. I would love to see her. Or Maggie Sawyer. Because Maggie was Kate's, actually, I guess technically soulmate, because Sophie was not. She was a love interest the very beginning of her story, but only during West Point. And so there was no real huge continuation of Sophie Moore's storyline in the comics. This is all created for CW, because technically it was Maggie Sawyer who just happened to be made Hispanic and put on Supergirl as Alex's love. But she really was Kate Kane's. As a matter of fact, they almost got married in the comics. And as far as I know, they may still be together. I don't know. I haven't been following Batwoman in a minute. So, but yeah, it's interesting. But I would love to see a lot of the people, like even with Barbara, I'd love to see what Barbara Gordon, what her connection is with GCPD. Is she the commissioner? Is she in a wheelchair already? Has she already formed Birds of Prey at this point? I don't know. It's hard for me to guess the timeline of events because we have Superman and Lois, and Superman is still very much active and Bruce Wayne is not. And so I don't know who they've met, who they haven't met. Obviously, we show that Superman has a history with Intergang. So I'm assuming that a lot of people have already been established in this universe that we haven't seen in this universe because they were never in the Arrowverse. And now after Crisis, it could have been a whole rewrite. So I have no idea who knows who's established. We know of, Aquaman, and, we know of all of the different locations thanks to Cisco and going to visit, Atlantis and all these places. But do we know who the Atlanteans are? Do we know about Aquaman? Do we know about all of these people? I'm assuming yes. They just never made an appearance in any of the damn shows. So it's like, I don't know. It's so hard for me when I'm thinking about this because, with the MCU, and I don't choose one over the other, just to be fair. I love them all. But with the MCU, at least we know established wise what characters we already know, which ones we're about to know, blah, blah, blah. With Arrowverse and DCEU, we have no clue. It's like, how do you know these people? It's just like a blimp, It's so damn weird. So I don't know. I'm in my feelings about that. There's going to be a power vacuum to fill the place left behind by the Crows. Oh, absolutely. And there's also going to be a lot more crime because GCPD cannot be everywhere, and they're probably understaffed because the city is Maybe Jacob should be like funding special units and stuff for GCPD, but then they'll probably end up corrupt too. You don't redeem the multiple murderer and still show her murder people. I mean, you're not wrong. Redemption is a rocky road if done incorrectly. Some characters can't be fully redeemed, but some can just be better than what they were. True. The Alice Ocean Kane stuff was easily the worst part of this episode. It feels forced onto these episodes. Everything else was mostly solid. I can see that. Ocean actually, to be fair, is getting on my nerves. He didn't seem to be a good person to begin with. Ocean doesn't seem to be good. He's a criminal. And we can't forget that he is a criminal. Now, Ocean is a made-up character. He's never been in any of the DC comics, at least none I've ever read. So this is a completely new Arrowverse creation. And besides his name, I can take him or leave him. Luke's armor must be amazing. I am so excited to see what his armor is going to look like. I bet it is going to be badass. Hashtag Bat Chaser Sophie. I mean, am I wrong? If anybody else calls her Bat Chaser, please remember that you heard it here first, not just in this stream, but in many streams this season, because that's what I call Sophie. She is a Bat Chaser. Kate Kane, Julia, who she was never Batwoman, but she wore Batwoman's costume in one episode to impersonate Kate. So she gets the name Batwoman for an episode. And then now looks like it's going to be Ryan. She is a Bat Chaser. Stop. Just stop. Agent T-Bad, that's what we're calling him, is pretty crazy looking in the comics. Yeah, he is. But this guy is douchey in the Arrowverse. He went from like bat crazy, like facial wise, to just a douchebag. He's a teabag. The Desert Road has been dubbed the Deus Ex Machina flower by others. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I love how it doesn't die without sunlight. Like, when you see, on the island, they're all rows and rows and rows and rows of this flower. But then you have one plant in the bat cave with no UV light that I saw. I mean, maybe there was a UV light. Maybe I need to go back and look. I didn't see a UV light. How is this plant blooming? I'm just curious. But you know what? It's fine. This episode was so stressful. It really could have went multiple ways. True. That is true. The world building in CW has always been a bit broken, unfortunately. Yeah, I kind of feel like they don't know where they're going because they don't know what shows are going to be licensed, so they don't want to commit to anything. They're like, we want to commit, but we can't commit because if we commit and it doesn't work out, the show is canceled, then we just screwed ourselves, which is exactly what happened when they established the Justice League. And almost all of the members, besides Barry and Sarah, are now gone. There's no one besides Barry and Sarah left in their Justice League universe. Yay. It's strange for Bruce Wayne to be an afterthought. It's weird as hell. It's weird for any of the Bat family to be an afterthought. I'm still waiting on Alfred. I need Alfred to make a cameo. Ocean Drown. I like that. Also, the fact they brought up the Riddler has me worried for season 3, because in season 1 they name dropped Sophia and we got an appearance from her. This is true. And I'm waiting for Penguin and a bunch of other people to just pop up. A lot of the villains we love for, and actually I want to see more from Intergang, because in Black Lightning they were dropping names, hints about Intergang, even though Intergang worked in both Gotham and Metropolis, but they were talking about Intergang. And then we also have connections with Gotham and Superman and Lois. So it's like, to be fair, most of the Arrowverse shows have shared Batman villains, even the Flash. So I don't know. Gotham needs to, I'm just hard. It's hard for me to believe that every old school villain in Gotham is in hiding or not available. If Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, left, even if he did it because he killed Joker, that means it opens up the door and avenue for all of the other villains to come out and play. And none of them are running around. Not one of them is running around Gotham. Like, where are they? Are they all on some retreat? Are they hang out with the Harley Quinn, the Harley show over on HBO Max? Where are the villains? I mean, it's very weird. It's just weird to me. I don't know. I really want to see Selena Kyle. I want to see Catwoman. Probably won't see her either. It's really weird. I would love to see Alfred. I would absolutely agree with you. Alfred should come back and be like, what the hell has happened to the manor? And why isn't the Bat Cave under the house? What's happening here in Wayne Industries? I would love it. I think a good way to bring back Alfred would be him bringing back his brainwashed daughter that nobody seems to remember is missing. But to be fair, they don't realize yet that Kate has been brainwashed by, Enigma, because they don't realize yet that Kate Kane is actually alive. So when they all get the heads up on that, maybe Sophie, maybe, big emphasis on Maybe, will remember that her ex-girlfriend, Julia, left for Berlin, spur of the moment, out of nowhere, after complaining of missing time and not remembering making phone calls, that maybe she was also a victim of Enigma, and actually get her to come home. That probably won't happen though, because just once, Kate Kane appears in front of Sophie with all her memories intact, Sophie's going to be like, Ryan who? Julia who? She's not going to care. I guarantee you she's not going to care. So that's the thing. Clayface and Killer Croc are my 2 favorite Batman villains. Killer Croc would be really cool. I would really like to see Killer. I would like to see anyone from the Suicide Squad in Gotham. But like I said, it's like they appear in the other shows like simultaneously, 2 or 3, or maybe like one will visit, Central City. Maybe there was always a few in Star City, obviously, because quite frankly, Arrow was taking a lot of Batman stuff. I don't think we've had any references besides the Intergang connection and Superman and Lois, though they do hint towards potential problems in Gotham, and with Diggle coming to Gotham first, I'm pretty sure it's all connected. But it's just, to me, very irritating and frustrating when you're trying to piece together all of these shows that obviously are on the same earth now, but don't talk to each other or share information about anything. Like, why don't they have a database of all the people they fight and how to stop them in case one of these crazy villains comes to another city? Like, they don't talk to each other. There's like no transparency. It's so effing weird. I don't get it. And whenever John says anything about Watchtower and Supergirl, I get so excited. I'm like, oh, we're getting Watchtower. It's going to be in space. Everybody's going to meet up and it's going to be like their hub of operations and blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, nah, it's just going to be this ship. I'm like, you know what? Fine. Like, just keep your information to yourself. Everybody just learned the hard way. I suppose they're more far-fetched of the Rogues Gallery, so I never expected to see them in any DC live-action shows. I get that. I want a Wonder Woman show where you see her with a female romantic partner, which should not be hard because, quite frankly, everybody in Themyscira is pretty much, I'm going to say fluid, but to be fair, they're all lesbians. And the only reason I say they're all lesbians is because they don't have any men on the island and they don't want any. So I guess it'll be as a queer woman, it probably would be weird to go to an island where I would automatically be accepted. But yet you have that one Themysciran who's like, I think I'm attracted to men, like Diana. And they're like, disowned. How dare you be heterosexual? That's against nature. That's completely reverse. It'd be heterophobia. That would be funny. Painkiller series shopped around to HBO Max. Well, hopefully they'll pick it up. They need to. I need my gay paradise. I mean, I'm 100% with you. I get it. Like Batwoman, it's so weird because Batwoman has a female lesbian lead, a second lesbian character, and they both have crap romantic interests and crap romantic stories. There's no real representation in terms of relationships. The only representation is that we have two Black female queer women. And that's fine because that's still something you don't normally see, but there's no romantic representation whatsoever in Batwoman. They allude to it, and then when they do it, something happens to mess it up, and it's just not a thing. Now with Kate King coming back, will her and Sophie have a thing? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with this Kate Kane. If she's going to stick around for the long run and be like, Batman to Terry and Batman Beyond, that's what her relationship would be with Ryan. No effing clue what's going to happen with that. But what I do know is that representation-wise, Batwoman is not the representation we need. As a matter of fact, I think Alex has had more successful relationships, first with Maggie, now with Kelly, than Batwoman, who is literally the front runner of the show. She's the star of the show, the title character. And each Batwoman we've had has had shit romances. So I don't know. It's a thing. I'd love to see Killer Croc, mainly to see the CGI of him. I mean, Grundy didn't look bad in Stargirl. Maybe they do a good job. But it depends on the budget, though, I guess. Killer Croc was absurdly huge in the Arkham games. True. Yeah. I don't think he would be that huge in the Arrowverse. Also, I think Batwoman has HBO Max budget like Superman and Lois. They have some of it, but not all of it. I can tell they definitely have more money than the Flash does, which is interesting. They definitely have better special effects and things. But then again, they are a city that is not meta-human heavy, so it's not hard to shoot. It's more crime gritty. Mostly everybody is just a criminal with a special ability, not a power. Or a skill set, should I say. So it's not hard to make Batwoman series look better than the Flash. So I'm just putting that out there. If Killer Croc makes an appearance in CW, then Shiva must debut as well. We need to have that scene in the comics. Shiva makes Croc dig his eye out. Oh my God, that would be awesome. But they will never do that. I'm so worried about them. Now, Raikou from Jupiter's Legacy, they could get her, even though, again, I know she's only half Japanese in real life. She's half, I think she's half English. I can't remember. But that girl was like giving me Shiva vibes the entire time that I was watching it. But then again, if you read the Jupiter's Legacy comics, especially the second volume, she is a lot like Shiva. So that's probably why I like Raikou so much. Or Reiko, sorry. And so I think that she would be a very good actress to take on that role, but I'd be so terrified in who they would get to play her and how that character would be betrayed, because I just have this sinking suspicion that she would go up against Ryan and Ryan would beat Lady Shiva's butt, and then I could never watch Batwoman again, because that's bullshit. And I would never suspend my disbelief for that at all, because Lady Shiva would literally pulverize Ryan. She beat Ryan and Kate and everybody else. In the comics, she's even beaten Batman. So there's no way you're going to tell me that Ryan Wilder will take on Lady Shiva and live. That will never happen. So, and I also would love for them to have Orphan. There's so many things they can do in Gotham that they're so limited not to do in Central City, and any of our other, Arrowverse series, obviously not in the Legends. But probably we'll never ever see them. And it's sad. It's really sad. I mean, I'm waiting for the crossover with Stargirl and to figure out how to cross over, because they are on Earth too. They're not on Prime Earth. They are not in the same universe whatsoever. I'm wondering if Stargirl will be more in line in the same universe as Green Lantern on HBO Max, because that would be interesting. but probably not. Well, I don't know, because Diggle may end up taking the ring in the end after his soul searching through the guest episodes that he takes when he talks to Luke and he goes through. Like, it'll be very interesting. It's also interesting that Diggle is going to Gotham, because if you really think about Diggle going to Gotham, he only really had an idea of who Batwoman was. I don't think he's ever met Luke. He doesn't know Mary. He really doesn't know Ryan at all, or Sophie. So what is the reasoning behind Diggle even going to Gotham? So that's a whole other thing that I would like to know. So there's a lot of questions that I have. And I'm hoping that these are very well done and tasteful, like guest appearances. And from what we read, we do know that he turned down. I mean, they're making it seem like he turned down the ring. He was offered the Green Lantern ring. He turned it down, and now he has repercussions. And I guess maybe something happens and he has to go to Gotham to figure something out. I don't know. It's interesting. It's also interesting. I could see why he would go to visit Clark, because he does know of Superman. And he is living in Metropolis with his wife and his kids. So I could see him making the trek to Smallville, because, Smallville's just a hop, skip, and jump from Metropolis now in the Arrowverse. So it's not hard. But I don't know what would compel him to go to Gotham. And I think he's going to make an appearance on Legends. And I don't know what would make that happen either. So there's a lot of things I have question marks about. And since Lynn... because this is the big one for me, since Black Lightning was in the same universe and Lynn name dropped her brother John, who was in the army, and his name is John Stewart. For me, that is literally Green Lantern right there. Lynn's brother was Lantern. We never saw him, which, if I were to nitpick Black Lightning, because I have nitpicks for every show, it's that, your sister is on the news for going to jail or being arrested, and, and all this embezzlement and all this stuff is happening. And, with, everything that went down with, the Makovians, and everything in Odell, you never visited your sister. You never ever like, hey sis, are you okay? I've seen you, what's going on the news. You all right? Is everybody in the family okay? It's like Lynn's family don't give a damn about her. So there's that. So I choose to believe that maybe he's off living his best life as Lantern, and that's why he hasn't been to Earth to check on his sister and his sister's family. That's what I'm choosing to believe. Now, whether that's true or not, probably not, because I don't think the writing team thought that completely through when they made that little reference to Lynn's brother being John Stewart, who was in the army. But if that's the truth, and John Stewart is, just for shits and giggles, that Lynn's brother is Green Lantern John Stewart, then who the heck was Diggle going to be? Because John Diggle's on the same Earth as them. So it wouldn't make any sense. So I just have so many questions, guys. I have so many questions. I would love a show about Cassandra Cain. I think it would be awesome. I would love it, because then you would definitely have Lady Shiva involved in that. One of the villains that I'd love to see in Arrowverse CW is Mr. Bloom. I could see that. I still want Punchline. I know she's relatively new, but I actually think she's completely psychotic, and I would love to see her. And now that Joker is dead, that means technically she's already been established, because she would be there pre-Joker's death. So I would love to see Punchline. I think that would be a very interesting character to introduce into the Arrowverse as a villain. And she give Alice a run for her money, because that woman is psychotic. And she's strategically psychotic. I think it'd be kind of cool. I thought he was quite creepy and disturbing in the comics as Commissioner Gordon's Joker. Yeah. I think there will be a WB Green Lantern TV show if done right. Well, I know they're casting for Green Lantern for HBO Max right now. They've already cast people, so I just don't know what timeline. Because again, I don't know if that's going to be DCEU or if they're going to have a connection to the Arrowverse. I have no idea what they're doing with that. I like that they incorporated the rest of the Legends as household items who worked with Astra to defeat Crowley. Yeah. We're going to talk about Legends on tomorrow, because I didn't want to make this a very long stream. We're going to stop. I'm capping this at an hour, because I know people have work. I know my spouse has work. And, the only time I do a really long stream is going to be Arrowverse Tuesday because we're talking about multiple shows. I'm trying to cut it down. So even though I love talking to you guys, that we're not here for 2 hours just talking. So Legends is going to have its own thing. And then we're talking Lucifer season 5B tomorrow. I set it for 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So anybody who's watched that show, we're going to talk about Lucifer tomorrow. You probably asked Barry who Batwoman was, but then again, everyone believes Kate died in a plane crash, but none of the other shows have talked about. So who knows? Yeah, they don't talk to each other. They don't talk to each other. Kate Kaden's death was announced on the news. They had a funeral. I mean, months have gone by. They know. I don't know why Barry didn't go to the funeral. That's a thing. I don't know if the Mirrorverse incident was happening at the same time and they just couldn't go. Nobody else seemed to go to Kate Kane's funeral. And they know that Kate Kane is Batwoman, so that's kind of messed up. Because, Barry did go to Laurel's funeral in Arrow and Oliver's. I'm just saying. That would actually be pretty great. Yeah. Can Punchline hold her own without the Joker? I haven't followed her in the comics. Yes, she's nuts. To me, she's actually at points, she actually is crazier than Joker to me. If we're talking the canon, how many Green Lanterns can be on Earth at the same time? Can we also get Jessica Cruz and Simon Boz? I really want them to get Jessica Cruz. And I don't know. I'm worried about her being in the DCEU. I'm worried about her being on the Arrowverse. There's some characters that you're protective of and you don't want them to mess it up. And her having PTSD is a big thing, big representation for people who are having, mental issues, basically are just dealing with life and dealing with things that are traumatic. And I don't want them to mess that up. I don't want them to have her have PTSD for like a day and then all of a sudden it's cured because she's a lantern and she got a magic ring and now all her things are just solved. That would make me so mad. If Diggle and Stewart is Green Lantern as well. See, normally they assign one lantern, sometimes a team, to a sector, and usually with Earth realm. Traditionally it's normally been one at a time, but they had to have two that will work together. Because Jessica works with, why does his name go out of my head? He's Middle Eastern. I cannot remember his name. Why? You might even said his name. Was it Simon? It wasn't Simon, was it? Why did he go out of my head? Gosh, I can see him in my head. I can see him telling Jessica just to feel better. And she's like, anxiety disorder does not, it's not something that just happens to me. It's something that I am. So it was Simon. Okay. Yeah. So they usually work as a pair. I like them together, especially when Hal gave him the trial and because they were fighting a lot. I love them together. I couldn't see either of them being in the Arrowverse successfully. I could see them both in Stargirl. I can see them in Stargirl. I just can't see them in the Arrowverse. Like in terms of Arrowverse, like any of them besides Stargirl. I can't see them in any of the shows. Could you see a lantern in Gotham? That would be so weird. I don't know. I find it weird that the actor who played Sophie was on season 1 of Charmed. She played Summer's chick Galvin got hot and heavy with. Yeah, I remember that. And another little technically really quick side note, when I tell you that Macy has a temper and Macy does little things on the sly, Macy was so jealous of her, and she basically made her out to be a demon and was trying to like get him, she was trying to look for the mark or whatever on her body and was like a biatch to her. Because I'm telling you, Macy has a temper. They don't believe me. They don't believe me. That's not even considering how magnificent Green Lantern power should be. Yeah, I love all of the lanterns. I will say Kyle Rayner being an artist. I love, how elaborate the things that he makes the ring, conjure versus some of the other ones. So some of them are really practical. It's like some lanterns are practical, but like Kyle Rayner is just like, he does intricate stuff. And I always thought that was really cool. Plus, my heart goes out to him because he was the boyfriend of the refrigerator girl in the comics. So, makes sense. So much to live up to with Jessica. It really is. And so much to literally mess up. Simon Bez is kind of like the big brother of the two. I like Simon and her a lot. I didn't want them to be romantically involved, but I like them as BFFs. It would be funny if they split one Green Lantern for Diggle and Stewart like they did with the Legends Air Totem. Which, I mean, it's the Arrowverse. They can do whatever they want. They haven't even established, lanterns. They haven't established the rules of lanterns. But for me, it's hard for me to believe that none of the... I'm trying to think how to say this. So we had Arrow with Oliver Queen, and it made it seem like he started the whole thing. But then we learned that there was Batman, and then there was Superman who had this whole ass career. But now it's like, oh, well, they were on different Earths, and now they're all on the same Earths. That's fine. But technically, it doesn't make a lot of sense that Oliver Queen was the very first hero in all of the Arrowverse trajectory throughout history. So it's like now that we have all of these lineages all on one Earth, but they still have these really intricate paths. I don't know who was established to do what. Can we have a lantern? Was a lantern? I mean, do we get a red lantern? Do we get a Star Sapphire? Even though technically Barry is still trying out to be a Star Sapphire to me. It's hard to know what characters generationally, because Batman is the first gen, which would have made Arrow the second gen because they're not the same age. Batman's older than him. And that means Superman should be older as well. Even though technically he is a little bit younger than Bruce. But you know where I'm going with this. It's like the generational gaps of heroes and who ran across who knows who. How many Young Justice characters are already established that we don't know about in the Arrowverse? It's so weird. It's just weird to me. It is weird. Do the Arrowverse people know about the Titans? Because technically, I think the Titans are on Earth 3 now. If I have to go back and look and see where they got moved. Everyone's reassigned to different Earths now. But yeah, I know Stargirl is still Earth 2. So she's not in the same Earth, not on Prime Earth. But she should be, because we have no other shows. I don't know what, Naomi's going to be. It's all of it's a mess. It's just a mess. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing with lanterns. I really don't. I can kind of see the contrast of a Green Lantern in Gotham. Their powers should look much more appealing in the dark setting. Yeah, but they'd be the only one with powers. Because let's be real. Whenever we focus on Batman stories, we don't normally have metahumans in the comics. It's normally like people like Bane and Joker, all of these characters that have unusual strength, but is scientifically explained. You don't have, all of the, like on Flash, where we have the different forces, which should be 7. All of them have access to mega humans with mega abilities because they have meta abilities. And so it'd be weird to have just a lantern come out of nowhere. Because if you have a Green Lantern in Gotham, you don't have crime. The lantern just take care of everybody. It's fine. It's just weird. And plus, it would undermine the effectiveness of Ryan if a lantern can just swoop in and save the day. I remember that scene. Shuri did think she was a demon. Yep. She did think she was a demon. She's like, because she was talking to the grandmother and she's like, I recognize that scar. But it was all jealousy. She was just jealous. And she was still flirting with Galvin too. Like I said, people just don't know. On the plus side, if Jessica Cruz does debut in CW, Barry won't be asking her out on a date like he did in the comics. No, he won't. But to be fair, Barry had a lot of girlfriends in the comics outside of Iris. And he thought Iris was dead for a while. The Barry joke will never get old. You know that because it's true. If they did introduce Lady Shiva, they would definitely not write her as someone Ryan could face off because she was defeated by Kate without even realizing. True. Absolutely. Because Kate really beat the hell out of Ryan in that episode. If Batman is no longer active in CW, that should at least mean that Gotham has seen Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, Batgirl, and many, many more than Bat Family. I agree. I mean, Blackwing should have been in play. We should have Huntress. We should have Birds of Prey. There's tons. Where's the question? Where's anybody? I don't understand what anybody is. And like I said, their world is so limited. And I don't know if it's because Warner Brothers is like, no, hold up. We don't know who we're putting in our movie, so you can't have them yet. Which again, still makes not one lick of damn sense to me, because you already have the Batman and then you have Ben Affleck's Batman, both established in the DCEU, and you have Ezra Miller's Flash, but we already have a Flash in the Arrowverse. So by that, we've already separated these universes. So in theory, you can have Batman be in Arrowverse because it's already established that the Arrowverse and the DCEU are not connected in any way. So I don't understand why they won't let us have it. But whatever. I mean, they even have Ryan Choi's in both, and I don't know where Ryan is right now. Ryan's MIA. I thought he was going to be in Legends. I have no idea what the hell happened with that. So introduce a character in Crisis and, never bring him back. He's kind of like Ben from Umbrella Academy. Maybe he'll make a reappearance. Now it looks like Ben's got more of a role now. Maybe they'll do that with Ryan later. I don't know. It's weird. Honestly, I always thought that Diggle was Lynn's brother. Also, we met Diggle's stepdad, whose last name is Stewart, but I don't know anymore. The Arrowverse gives me a headache sometimes. I know. I mean, I feel if Diggle was Lynn's brother, would he not have made an appearance to see her? Plus, remember, in his universe, he had a brother. And so it's all messed up. It's all messed up. Every bit of it's messed up. Kevin Conroy needs to come back as CW Batman. I agree. He needs to come back and he bring Terry with him. That's what he needs to do. I hope Stephanie shows up as Batgirl and becomes a temporary sidekick for Ryan to defeat whatever threat they'll have to face in the season finale. I think that would be cool. And again, anything can happen. They hide stuff from us all the time. Like on Superman and Lois, dropping the ball that we were dealing with Steel. Nobody thought that was Steel, So it's like Captain Luthor's really Steel. I mean, we have no idea who is who in the comic verse, because Arrowverse sometimes I feel has no idea. So they're like, we're just going to pick and choose and make you this and make you that and make you this. And it is what it is, and I've come to understand that whatever I feel a certain character's backstory is, or whatever I feel a certain character potentially is not exactly how they will be on the Arrowverse. And that's fine, because again, the Arrowverse is its own universe. It is not meant to be the comic verse. They just take liberties from the comics. And they've been doing that like forever. I mean, honestly, I was so frustrated with all the Bryan Singer movies, because if you are an X-Men fan, Days of Future Past was not Days of Future Past from the comics and at all. Like, not at all. I mean, none of his movies actually reflected the actual arcs in the comics. I think my thing is, and I do this with Arrowverse a lot, as long as you tell a story that's not you trying to rewrite a very beloved arc in a comic series, I'm completely down with that. But don't come in and then butcher a comic arc and then have people who've never read the comic books thinking this is actually how this happened. That irritates me a lot. It's like, why couldn't you just name it something else? Why can't you have a brand new arc that is your universe's arc that you're doing? Crisis, I get they were trying to revamp the mess they made in the Arrowverse. And so that's why they did Crisis. But unfortunately, it created a bigger mess because of the actors that were leaving and the shows that were being canceled. So Crisis was actually very badly timed. I mean, very badly timed. But outside of that, there's so many things they could have done, that could have been original, that could have contained crossovers. And so, I mean, Earth's Mightiest, like I have a feeling we're going to be getting a lot of... I have theories on what's coming, and I don't know if I like it very much, especially with Stargirl now being involved. I don't know. But I will say this, because we're still talking about Arrowverse, I am still pro Stargirl adapting Infinity Inc. instead of Justice Society of America, since that is the team they were on. They were on Infinity Inc. They were all Infinity Inc. So, and I need that to happen, because then we'll have Nat Irons there. And I think that's a good way of crossing her over if she's alive from Superman and Lois. Give the actress more to do. Just saying. But they're probably going to have their own lantern and stuff too, because I mean, they already have a lantern, battery. It's glowing, which means the ring is either out there or charging. So no reason to keep showing it lighting up in green if it's not going to mean anything. Unless Diggle's going to make an appearance on Stargirl and Earth too. Who knows? Terry would be amazing. I agree with that. It really is crazy how these shows don't communicate with each other despite occupying the same continuity. I agree. I've said that from day one. At this point, Jennifer seems more immortal than Lala. Yeah, though Lala's a Bebe's kid too. He's like Jacob. The one X-Men movie I appreciated because Logan was First Class. The reason I like First Class is, one, is based off the graphic novel, and two, Bryan Singer didn't have a damn thing to do with it. That's why. But I agree, you shouldn't try to deviate too far from the original story. It doesn't make sense. it does. In the Age of Apocalypse, when they were talking and a lot of the actors were like, he didn't, Bryan Singer didn't even know some of the characters' backstory. Like the fact that Psylocke had to be explained to him. Yeah, Psylocke should have a British accent because technically she's Betsy Braddock in Psylocke's or Quanen's body. He didn't even know who Quanen was. I mean, you're literally creating a story and you don't know who the characters are. Bryan Singer's the reason I came up with the dartboard. Whenever I say people throw a dartboard at plots and characters and they don't know who the hell they are, they just put all these pictures up and they throw a dart and they say, what's this one's name and what's that one's name? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to write it into my story. And it doesn't matter if I don't know who the hell they are. They can just fill a spot. And that is literally what X-Men movies are from Bryan Singer. I cannot stand Bryan Singer movies. I just don't like it. Well, his X-Men movies. I haven't seen his Jules Verne interpretation of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is one of my favorite Jules Verne books. So I'm very annoyed. He also destroyed Superman. So even though I did like Brandon Routh, and even though Kevin Spacey is probably not a good person, I did like his Lex Luthor. So casting for those two characters, I was not opposed to. And I also liked Jimmy Olsen's actor, but the story itself was effing hilarious and stupid. So yeah, whatever. Unless we're talking Quanen, let's not revisit her body swap when she appears in the movies. Yeah, highly problematic. If we get John Diggle or Stewart, I'll be happy. I will be happy too if we get them, but I don't think that's what they're doing, but I don't know. I don't know what Diggle's doing. I don't know what his journey is. If it's inevitably him and accepting it, are they actually going to cast him as Jon Stewart in HBO Max? And this is his journey to doing it, to going there. I don't know. I mean, I would not be opposed to Diggle being cast in the Lantern series. Don't get me started on Apocalypse. That was not Apocalypse. That was Ivan Ooze. Yes, it was. Absolute stupid. Honestly, what they should have done is kept Crisis as the original date. It was on The Flash. Instead of Crisis happening in 2019, we get smaller crossovers like a Batwoman versus Supergirl, and also bring in new shows to expand the universe. And when Crisis finally happened, it'd be epic. And then we put everyone on the same Earth. Also, they should have never killed Ollie. Well, I mean, and in the original Crisis, Supergirl and The Flash actually died. We had a few others that died, but yeah, Green Arrow, nothing was dependent on Green Arrow in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Not to say he's not a good character, but he's always been known as the generic Batman. And like one of my favorite series is Deceased. I know it's weird, but I really like zombie movies. So I really like this zombie, comic run. And even in Deceased, Green Lantern, Oliver Queen was in his feelings because there was no contingency plan for him. Batman did not think of him as a threat. He was like, there's really nothing I actually need to do with you. I can literally just headshot you. I don't need a strategy. And he was one of the only ones that he didn't have a contingency plan for. So I absolutely think that Oliver was not important enough to kill. That was just a way of letting, Steve Amon out of his contract because he didn't want to be an Arrow anymore. And then when he left, he kept trying to come back. So weird. I'd be so down for Batwoman versus Supergirl. I would too. I don't know. It would be weird. Like now Ryan actually hanging out with Supergirl would be very interesting. Not opposed to it, but it is what it is. Eddie is cool with Blue should be a thing. Yep. It would be priceless to look at Iris's reaction to finding out that Eddie is her brother-in-law, even after realizing she was once engaged to him. I mean, hell, when Bart shows up and that's their kid, but it's actually their grandkid. I don't know. They're not going to do that. They're not going the Arrowverse does not like to have the correct children to the correct parents in their universe. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but if these heroes have children, something is effed up, which is how we got Jordan and Superman and Lois. There's no Jordan. Jonathan is prime Superboy. It doesn't make any damn sense that we have Jordan, but Jordan is Brightburn. So whatever, I'm done. I might be in the minority, but I still don't like Oliver with Black Canary. I don't mind Oliver and Black Canary, except for the run where she got like heavily tortured and implied molested. And I can't remember the name of his comic. Oh, it went out of my head. anemia and age, guys. This is what I keep saying. This is why I don't remember anything. But there is a comic run where she's investigating something and she gets kidnapped and tortured, and he goes and saves her. And, you know, he's taking care of her, but then Speedy starts getting hooked on heroin again. And so he literally abandons her and goes and runs off to help Speedy. When that happened, I was like, wow, Oliver, you're an A. And then plus, he is a bit of a tool, because if you really think about it, which Black Canary do you not like him with? Mama or daughter? Because he's been with them both. And that's creepy as hell. Just saying. But it's comics, so you know, it's a thing. It's a thing. It is a thing. So we always say comics. We need a live action Young Justice, not on the CW. I would be down for them doing it on HBO Max with Superman and Lois's budget. That would be cool. I would love to see Ice and Fire and Ice Maiden. I'd love to see all the obscure characters you don't normally get to see that are out there. And Pegasus Bureau members. There's so many comic book characters that are like B and C. Not even leaguers, but like attached to the Justice League, that I think would be very cool to explore. But I don't know. You definitely remember enough for your streams. No joke. I often miss details that you bring up for episodes of reviewing. My mind's like that, but whenever I start talking about a certain comic I've read, the title goes out of my head. I don't know what it is. The same with certain character names, the same with certain TV shows. I literally could be watching it the day before and I'm like, that person. I'm telling you. So life after 40 and anemia. This is what happens. So eat your spinach. Like, he's been with the sister too, so he's keeping it in the family. Now remember, in the comics there wasn't a sister, but he definitely in the Arrowverse. Arrowverse seems to like blondes. He likes the blondes. That's why him and Laurel couldn't work out. Her hair was brown until she put on the wig. Like, she just put that wig on in the beginning, then they would have been married. A lot of people thought Felicity was going to end up being the new Canary instead of, you know, having Laurel or Dinah. But again, they didn't even continue that, you know, continuity, because technically at that point in the Arrowverse, Laurel's mother would have been dead because she would have died of radiation poisoning. So there would not have been, their mother, and the mother would have been the very first Black Canary. There's a lot to that story, you know, and it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand. We need Nicholas Kelly for our memory backup. We do. We really do. He has that eidetic memory. I'm like, every time I forget something, I'm like, what's that name? But you've been doing a very good job, you know, so you get points because you started talking, you know, when I asked something, you're like, Simon Boz. So, you know, you already knew what I was thinking before I said it out loud. So major props to that. But yeah, so over an hour. So we're about to wrap this up, but I have to say again, enjoyed this episode. Just had to have my little nitpicks. I like to recap some of my nitpicks. One of my major nitpicks of this episode is the server backup. I still refuse to suspend my disbelief that Jacob, who has all of this money and all of these investors, did not have a server capable of backing up freaking pure, unfiltered, unedited body cam data on the server for over 7 days, that you have to get rid of it by 3 a.m. the next morning. I call BS. I will not, and I repeat, I will not suspend my disbelief on that, because that is weird. So had to throw that out there because that makes no sense whatsoever. And, you know, of course, my Bat Chaser thing is always going to be, the Bat Chaser is just going to be what it is, because Sophie is becoming a Bat Chaser and I don't like it. And I think that I'm going to be right. They're going to try and get Ryan, you know, and Sophie together, and they might cause a little love triangle between Sophie, Kate, and Ryan. And I'm like, really, CW, you really got to have that drama. So yeah, that's a problem. But yeah, guys, you guys are awesome. And last question, what are predictions for the next episode of Batwoman? And also, do you think Kate realizes she's not who she thinks she is? I think that Kate has been having questions ever since Alice gave her the new face, and she looked in the mirror and Alice made the comment saying, well, the girl in the picture has brown eyes and you have blue. I think that put a bubble in her head of, wait a minute. And she's got the seed of doubt now. And I think as they go forward, more and more things are going to be said to her that is going to make her really realize that she's not who she thinks she is. And I think what's going to happen going forward is all of them, because everything that happens in the Arrowverse is very quick. Secrets are not kept for very long, maybe 2 episodes, 3 at the latest. Secrets come out. So they don't let us hang on it because they have too much crap to write. So by the next episode or the episode after, everyone's going to know Kate's alive. That's just what it is. And it's going to be the journey of not only getting Kate back, also dealing with Black Mass, because we have not seen Black Mass now in 2-3 episodes. So he's doing something. Sionis is not just sitting around doing nothing. So we need to know what his plan is, what his ultimate goal besides becoming literally the next crime lord of Gotham. What is his end game for all of them? Because there's a reason he was doing research on the entire damn family, including Mary. So we need to know that too. So I think we're going to learn a lot more about Black Mass master plan. Hopefully Wolf Spider will become more of a central character. We'll at least see him as guest spots and utilized more since he is a Gotham resident. I do think that there's going to be a showdown between Ryan and Kate, and I am here for it. And then we're probably going to have to deal with how to take down Black Mass. Plus, we also got to figure out what Jacob's going to do now, because we have no idea what the hell Jacob's going to do now. Jacob's no longer in charge of the Crows. What is he going to do? What's going to occupy Jacob's time? Is he going to become a private eye with, Sophie, or are him and Sophie going to start a different project or a different task force? What are they going to do? What is he going to find? He's a really rich man with lots of time on his hands. And now just technically Mary and he has his daughters, but they're all over the place. You got one that doesn't know who the hell she is, one that's kind of redeeming, but a psychopath, and then his stepdaughter. So Jacob's going to have to go through a journey. Luke is going to go through a journey because, of course, he's going to be Batwing. So he has to go through the journey. And then we got Diggle. So there's a lot coming up in Gotham. Honestly, it can go all over the place, but I do think that Black Mass has to be dealt with 100%. The power struggle, or I say power vacuum for Batwoman, if Kate gets her memory back, is going to come into play. And Lord have mercy, hopefully Ryan is not going to hook up with Sophie, because I'm tired. Because if Queen Bat Chaser becomes a thing, I don't know. I don't know. I might have to make a meme. I'm just saying. I have to make a meme. And I'll even make memes. I'm going to have to make one that day. So, yeah, those are my feelings, guys. Those are my feelings. But if you have any questions, any other comments, theories yourself, please leave them in the comments below, because I will read them. We can talk about it. Please like the video if you have not, because we like people knowing we're here. And apparently YouTube doesn't tell anybody if you don't like the video. Yay. But yeah, be prepared for our stream tomorrow. I'm more than likely going to have Legends as a video instead of a live stream. So be on the lookout for that. And then we will have our Arrowverse Tuesday on Tuesday night, unless the weather does what it did today, which was kind of crazy because we're in storm season here in Tennessee. So who knows, but I'm going to try. But we should be on schedule. So we will have our Superman and Lois and Flash review on Tuesday for Arrowverse Tuesday. So I will talk to you guys later. And Mercenary, be on the lookout. I love Legends. So be on the lookout for my Legends review. Hopefully I will have it out tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning if possible. Or later into the evening, but it should be posted tomorrow because I'm trying to play catch up and I don't want to add it to my Arrowverse stream. So Legends should be out tomorrow. And we will have our Lucifer 5B review at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. So I got that all out. Okay. Good night, guys. If it's night for you, have a good day. If it is day for you, and I will see you guys hopefully on the Lucifer stream tomorrow. Bye, guys.